This episode is brought to you by the shows of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com. Whether it's true crime or film reviews, even TV series deep dives, the You Run Podcast Network has you covered. So go and check out yourunpodcast.com today. Hello, this is the You Run Podcast. This is Scott, but also...
Hi, guys. I'm back.
She's back.
I'm excited. No, I'm excited. Guess who's back? This pregnant bitch is back again. Got a fetus in my stomach. Anyway, it's not a fetus. It's a baby now.
We're gonna get onto that in 2 seconds. But first,
I don't care.
Here's our brand new intro.
Heather's raging, old news she screams. The newer cases are all that she dreams. We dive into cases both weird and grim, from Zodiac ciphers to Tiger King's whim. We're You Run Podcast, the oddball pair. We're pretty damn good to be fair. You Run Podcast, do true crime. Heather's ranting, Scott's in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a weekend and nod. You Run Podcast, approved by God. Probably not.
Hello and welcome back to the You Run Podcast True Crime. My name is Scott.
And I'm Heather, guys. Y'all know me. Y'all know me already. Y'all thought I was going to be gone forever, but I'm back.
It feels like forever since we've recorded.
It does.
It's so long. And I am now mentally rested from the horrific cases that we covered, and we're going to change things. So we're going to go back to one case a month because mentally I can withstand that. And Heather has some news that she kind of dropped early, but would you like to share your news?
Yes, obviously, most people that follow me on the social medias know that I am expecting another baby. We are expecting a baby girl. I say we. Actually, it's just me because, like, Steven's not pregnant. It's just me. But wait, I'm pregnant. This will be my final baby, guys. You guys send me well wishes and send me lots of positive vibes, though, because this has been fucking rough. Scott knows because I chat with him, and he's been so very patient and kind with me. And it's been tough because I didn't want to just like abruptly stop recording our podcast. I hate this happened last time, but this time it was real bad, wasn't it? It was real fucking bad. I was sick, y'all. I told Scott, I thought I was on the Little House of the Prairie. Like, I'm gonna die. But I'm finally feeling good. I have my days, but guess what? I'm well enough to where I can function, I can eat, chase my toddler around, and so there you go.
Yeah, when I first spoke to you, so to give everyone a bit of context, on our last episode we done together, it was on that episode that Heather was really sick, and at the end of that episode, I said, "Are you sure you're not pregnant?" Heather went, "Of course I'm not pregnant. What a silly thing to say!" And then I got a message. I got a message the next day.
Like a week later.
Yeah,
next day. Yeah,
it was next day. It's like, yeah, I've done a pregnancy test. I am very, very pregnant.
It's like you could feel my energy, and like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a woman. I'm not like a complete fucking idiot, right? But for some reason, it just didn't. I was like, no, it can't. No, I would know that, right? And then I was like, oh my God, like, what is Scott? What? He's a devil. Like, he knows. And then, like, yeah, legit, this is how it happened. I should have known better, but I was so sick, and I was just like, this is weird. Because, anyways, long story short, I wasn't like this with my other pregnancy. So for me, I was just like, God, I'm dying. Like, I have influenza. The Spanish flu, something's happening. But I'm okay now. I am with child. We're working on, I think I'm almost 15 weeks. So that puts me in about month 4. So it's going fast, you guys. I'm due in early March of 2025, but baby should be here in late February of 2025. So
yeah,
I'll be recording for a while with you up until,
Me and Heather are going to try and play a game where we record stuff in advance. So Heather can
We're
have her
gonna try
baby,
to do
have
that.
time off, and there's going to be episodes all the way through. If not,
Yes.
I'm going to bring in some guest co-hosts to cover while Heather is away. But we will see.
Yes.
We'll work it out as we go.
I hope it works out because, like last time, it wasn't that much of a break. I wasn't really
No.
gone that long. But this will, I don't want to shoot my load too soon. Obviously, that's already happened because I'm 15 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
But just saying, it's going to be a little different this time, guys. So please have some grace with me if, it does take me longer to come back. And you guys be nice to Scott because I will have a toddler, over a 2-year-old, and a newborn baby. And
Yeah.
I have 2 other children. Thankfully, they're older, but still, I may need it. Just depends. I don't know how it's going to work out this time, but we'll get it fixed. We
Well,
always
well,
do.
we always do. If
Yes.
you want to get in touch with the show and send Heather well wishes and welcome her back, you can do that by sending us an email, yourunpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us an audio DM on X or
Mhm.
Instagram. Go to where you send a message, hold down the record button, and speak and welcome Heather back. We did have some response. We had a huge amount of response to when I put
Mm.
out the episode saying that we were taking a break. We had so
Yeah.
many messages and I had so many people contact me. And there was one of them that I wanted to read just because it really like made me smile that we had this sort of support.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave the person anonymous in this because
Of
I
course.
don't think they'd want me to share who it was. But they
Yep.
put, "Hey, I'm not usually someone who sends messages, and I'm a stranger, so I get that this might not mean much, and I doubt I'll be the only one to say it. But you and Heather have absolutely nothing to apologise for. You've not let us down. Researching true crime is traumatic enough without considering your own personal experience. Also, I imagine podcasting on top of everything that Heather is going on is pretty heavy. You Run has always promoted positive mental health practices, and I'm glad to see you guys are practicing what you preach and setting an example. I know you've gone through I've gone through rough times. You Run has helped. Chins up, buttercups. I know you guys will continue to do amazing things. And now I've icked myself. Laughing emoji.
Do I know who sent that, or did we not discuss that? I don't remember.
I sent you who sent it, but
Okay, maybe you'll have to remind me later. That's fine.
yeah,
We can do that off camera. But I have the mind of like a dead rat. Like I literally can't remember fucking anything. Okay, give me some cheese, bitch, because literally, like that's me. I, I have pregnancy brain on top of I can't remember anything, anyways. So thank you for the message, whoever you may be. Sorry, I can't remember, but we do appreciate that. That's very sweet of you to send that out because it's been rough and I am happy to be back because I do enjoy podcasting. So I am happy.
yeah, and we both enjoy doing this. And like
Yes.
before we took our break, we were about to do the NVIXM weird sex cult, and we're still going to do that
Yeah.
soon. But we
Okay.
wanted to do something else first. Now, I'm sure you're aware of the Netflix sort of, I don't know, Netflix series Dharma, starring
Yes.
Evan Peters as Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
Well, you are going to get another one of these monster series, and
Hmm.
it is going to be covering the Menendez brothers. Now,
Hmm.
Netflix, with everything like they did with Jeffrey Dahmer, they put a spin on things and they alter things.
Yeah.
And last time
100%.
we done our Dharma episode after the Netflix documentary, and lots of people messaging going, "Oh, that's different to what Netflix done." So this time we're going
Well,
to do it differently. We're going to get in first. Fuck you, Netflix. We done it first. We
yeah.
got there.
It's
We're going to give you,
dramatized for
yeah,
viewers. I mean, you can't expect it to be if that were the case, it would literally be like every other little true crime doc. And this is an actual series that they put out. So some of it was fabricated. Not
yeah.
all of it, but some of it was. So
Yeah, and they're going to do that with the Menendez brothers. So we're going to get in first and give you all of the facts. So today we bring you our case on the Menendez brothers.
Really have emergency? Yes, please.
And I played the wrong clip. It's this one.
In the study watching TV. Kitty Menendez, a homemaker, and Jose Menendez, an executive, a rising star in the entertainment business. They had 2 sons, Lyle, 21, Eric, age 18. This Sunday night at 10 p.m., Kitty and Jose were sitting in sweatshirts, watching television, eating strawberries and ice cream, when someone walked in and blasted them with shotguns.
Tomorrow in this country, 2 juries resume their deliberations in the Menendez murder case.
The judge's instructions to both juries make not guilty verdicts legally impossible.
The judge will give them the option of convicting the brothers on charges ranging from voluntary manslaughter to murder in the first degree.
Still no verdict from the 2 juries in the Menendez brothers murder trials. The jury for Lyle Menendez has completed 16 days of deliberations. The jury for Eric Menendez has finished 14.
What does it say when the deliberations have gone on so many days and you're saying you still have a chance?
They're still deliberating, aren't they?
3 weeks and they haven't budged. It has been our suspicion that there was some deep division. I guess this is as deep as it goes.
Tonight, with the Eric Menendez jury deadlocked, a mistrial has been declared in his case.
In Los Angeles today, a mistrial for Lyle Menendez.
Clancy, you talking a possible retrial?
Do you think this is going to end?
Well, there's no gag order on the rest of us here in the Southland, so now we're going to get some street reaction to today's verdict.
I think it was a just verdict.
They got what O.J. Simpson didn't.
I think it was pretty harsh.
I'm not surprised that they found him guilty for pretending to expecting to take the money and it wasn't over the abuse.
There we go.
80s and 90s, bro.
This case is wild. It is insane. And apologies for playing the wrong clip. It's been a while since me and Heather have done this. I forget where buttons are.
It's fine. It was still like, you know what? Don't apologize. People make mistakes. It's fine.
They do. They do. On the night of 20th of August, 1989, Lyle and Eric Menendez entered the family den where their parents, Jose and Kitty, were watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 were carrying shotguns. The 2 brothers opened fire, killing their parents. Jose was shot 6 times, Kitty 10 times. To put this in perspective, they had to stop and reload several times to complete this murder. Like that in itself, like I understand a crime of rage or passion, like you go bang, bang, but to go bang, 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 and then go, hold on, where did I put those bullets? Let me reload. Like they're already dead. Why are you still shooting them at point blank range with a big shotgun? Like
because,
it blew my
like
mind.
you mentioned, it goes into the rage. I do firmly believe that this was very impulsive. Just it is believed to be premeditated. I'm not doubting that, but what I'm saying is that doesn't mean it wasn't full of rage and just, sometimes people just do shit and then you regret, like, why did you do it? But there was something behind that. It's overkill. First of all, shooting the mother 10 times with a fucking shotgun. You just need to shoot somebody one time and they're going to be dead if you shoot them in the right spot on their body.
Yeah, but point blank range.
I don't
like
get
one
it.
shot. No, I don't get it. And what makes it even worse is the brothers didn't call the police at first. They assumed that gunshots would alert the neighbors who would call the police. And that didn't happen. So after sitting around for like 10, 15, 20 minutes and no sirens, they decided to call 911 themselves. And we've got the 911 call. We've also got some shots of the crime scene. So if you are of a sensitive nature and you're watching this on Spotify or on YouTube, proceed with caution.
Yes, please. What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? Someone killed my parents. Pardon me? What? Who? Are they still there? Yes. The people... No. Were they shot? Hey, man, were they shot? Yes. They were shot? Yes. 102, 722 North Elmont. What happened? Hey, stay there, I have a hysterical person on. We're trying to get things further. Other units responding.
Is...
I'll just... we we're both like we're both gonna cut each other off. But honestly, okay, let me just say this. That you can see that whole clip if you guys watch any pretty much just about any of the Menendez brother documentaries, like they pretty much showcase that. Me and Scott did happen to watch one of the same ones for sure, and I believe that was some of the footage that was used in the court and then just throughout the documentary. But like their brother, uh, Eric is specifically who I am addressing. I'm sorry, like you're not a good actor, so stop. And then the 911 dispatcher, I'm like, what? Why are you freaking the fuck out? You're supposed to remain calm. It's just so. It's hard to put into words when you hear just that little bit because you're like,
Yeah, see, that's the
what?
opening of that call. That call is seven and a
Yes.
half minutes long, and it is
Yes.
them repeating the same things. The reason I didn't play more of it is because it's them going,
Yeah, it's the same
"Someone,
thing.
yeah, someone shot our
Yeah.
parents. Who shot your parents? Are they still there? I don't know." Followed by "ah" in the background. Like
Yeah,
it's the
that's Lyle. Was it Lyle in the background, I believe, that
yeah,
was screaming like that?
yeah, and I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
It just blows my mind that you could do that. You could then sit there and contemplate how you then get the police on scene. And to make that call, like how much preparation went into the right, let's get our story straight. What are we going to say? How
Yeah.
are we going to do it? Like
Yeah.
it's such a weird thing. I mean, the brothers told police that they'd been to the cinema to see Batman, Michael Keaton's
Mhm.
Batman, which is the best Batman. They
Yeah,
probably should have gone and
100%.
they should have gone and seen that, but they didn't. They also then said they attended the Taste of LA festival at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium.
Yeah.
In 1989, the police had no way of verifying these claims. Everyone used cash. There was no
Well, you couldn't
CCTV.
even if they would have credit cards and things like that wouldn't have been super popular at the time anyways. I think
No,
like charge cards would probably been more for the elite. Things like that. So like even then, and don't quote me on this because I don't 100% know and I don't want to sound like an idiot and fact check me, but I'm not sure that that would have been able to necessarily trace that in a timely manner even if
no, no.
because
They
if
wouldn't.
you have you seen movies where they did the credit cards where it's like on a
Yeah,
piece of paper
like a
thing where it's like
slider. Yeah,
yes, so it was not electronically, so maybe I am right, like it wasn't they didn't have an electronic footstep.
no,
Everything
no,
would have
not
been like, do you have the receipt, do you have a piece of paper?
yeah.
Again,
And
they had cash anyways, so
the thing I find crazy is the police did not suspect they had any involvement whatsoever. Now, in modern policing, if you turned up at a crime scene, even if it was, even if you thought they had no involvement at all, you would
yeah.
still test their hands for gunshot residue. You'd still interview them. Police didn't
No,
do
they
any
would
of
be a
that. They're like,
suspect. They would take them
yeah,
in immediately. It doesn't matter if even if the police were like, I can look at this scene and say, I know Scott did not kill his wife. I know that didn't happen. You're still going to be taken. They're still going to be like, we need you to come to the station or whatever. And like, you've got to be questioned to rule out that you 100% are not a suspect.
yeah.
Even
But
if you
the
have an
police,
alibi, they still have to fucking check it. This is it's because they were in fucking bougie ass Beverly Hills, and I'm sure
yeah,
they were incompetent.
yeah, they literally went, no, we were at Batman, and the police went, okay, no worries, see you later. Um, what followed, the weeks and months that followed, is
Uh-huh.
I think is where they fucked up.
Oh yeah.
So the Menendez family were wealthy. They weren't super rich, but they were well off. Like the brothers
They were pretty
inherited
fucking
around
rich.
$14 million. They inherited.
That's a
Um,
lot of give me that. That's a lot of money.
um, in the following months, they spent a lot, a lot. I've got a rough
Mhm.
breakdown of their purchases, just rough. So Lyle
Yep.
bought a Chuck Springs Street Cafe a buffalo wing restaurant in Princetown, New Jersey, as well as a Rolex and a Porsche Carrera. Eric hired full-time tennis coaches and competed in a
Yeah.
series of tournaments in Israel. They also bought adjoining condos and took multiple trips to the Caribbean and dined in Michelin star restaurants. At one point, they attended a New York Knicks game, which has now become incredibly famous because they appeared on a trading card for Mark Jackson. So when they used to do the shots
Okay.
for the basketball players, they'd shoot the basketball
Yes.
player. The
Mhm.
Menendez brothers are sat behind him, and I'm going to show that now. This is awesome. So
Holy shit.
there they are.
Yes, motherfucker. You
And
got your
that
15 minutes of fame on that card.
and that trading card now, I think it goes anywhere between $50 and $250, depending
Oh,
on what condition
yeah,
it's in.
it's insane. You know what? The thing is we're gonna get to it, guys. I'm sorry. I always jump ahead a little bit because it makes my brain want to bleed because I'm like, they spent all this money. Obviously, they couldn't be tracked like we could be tracked nowadays. But then it was
No.
like 6 months of them just scouring money away. It was like what? It was close to $1 million or some fucking crazy amount. It was a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
was
money.
it was well over $700,000 in
It's
6 months. It's like over $100,000 a month. And
And the police didn't think that was suspect. Like, this is my thing. You didn't do anything at the crime scene because you heard the phony ass. I could do a better acting job than that on when I was vomiting on the couch. Okay. It's like so silly because they sound so over the top. And so the police never thought, well, that's suspicious. These boys should be in mourning. Their fucking mom and dad are dead. And they're going
yeah,
to eat dinner and like spending money.
well, it was because of their behavior that the police kind of went, uh, something's not quite right here. We're going
Well,
to
yeah, do
maybe
your
just have
fucking
a
job.
we're going to have a little look at them. But before they did, I mean, the police investigated every other possible
Well,
angle
yeah.
they could. They looked at the mob because of Jose's heritage being Cuban. They thought
Mhm.
it might have something to
Mhm.
do with that. They
Mhm.
looked at like links they had to other celebrities. They looked at embezzlement. They looked at every single thing apart
Yeah.
from the two guys with gunshot residue and blood on their hands when they arrived at the scene. Like, it can't be them. It's got
And
to
that
be
were just in the house in general. Like they found the bodies. And so you know how any true crime show goes. If you find the body,
you're a
there's a high
suspect.
chance you're going to be a suspect, and there's even that high chance that you're probably the one who did it. How many times have we watched a true crime show where the wife killed the husband and she calls 911 and oh my god, someone came in and shot Robert, and it's like, no, bet you did that. But that's exactly what they did, and they played it so phony that listening back to it sounds like children whining.
Yeah. Yeah, it really
I
does.
know we're
And
gonna
like,
get into their backstory and like we're gonna
oh,
get
we
into
are.
some serious shit in a minute, but like when you first listen to it, you're like, they're 18 and 21,
Yeah.
but still grown up in quotations. So I don't know.
Yeah, and like this is where the police started to look at them. They'd
Mhm.
interviewed them numerous times. Like they'd brought them
Yeah.
in and interviewed them loads after they were spending money, and they couldn't get anything to stick. So they enlisted a friend of Eric called Craig Carganelli, and they
Mhm.
wanted him to wear a wire and get a confession from Eric, which he attempted to do. He got wired up. They went out for lunch and out for drinks. He tried to get
Mhm.
Eric drunk and kind of pushed like to find out what involvement Eric had. And Eric just stuck to his guns, like, no, I didn't have anything to do with that. Wasn't like I wasn't there. I was watching Batman. Then we went for drinks, and then we come back and we found him. It was horrific, and they couldn't get anything to pin. And it wasn't until Eric slipped up. So Eric confessed to his therapist that
Mhm.
him and his brother had committed the murder. And
Yeah.
in 1990, when he done this was still covered under doctor-patient confidentiality laws. These laws
Yep.
have now been changed for this exact reason. Now the doctor didn't stitch him up. He didn't tell anyone. He didn't report it to the police. He did tell his
Mm.
mistress at the time. And when he broke up with his mistress, she then told police about the brothers' involvement. Lyle was arrested
Yeah.
on March 8th, 1990, with Eric turning himself in 3 days later when he landed back from his tennis tournament that he was at in Israel. They were both held without bail and they were jailed separately. This case, like up until this point where they're
Yeah.
arrested, for me, it's very clear cut. You killed your parents to get the money. You spent the money too quick. Like if they'd have waited a year before they spent a penny, I am 100% convinced these two would still be walking around today. The police would never have caught them.
Yeah, they're only in their 50s right now, so they would be, and they look, I mean, seeing them currently, they look relatively, they don't look very old. So like, yeah, obviously, and this might sound really fucked up, but like they weren't bad looking young men at the time.
No.
Like they weren't bad looking. Eric is the one though that is going to be more of our drama queen in this episode because Eric
Oh,
is the one
massively.
that has all the accusations that we're going to get into here shortly. Lyle is the older brother that I feel like nothing happened to him in that sense. It seemed like the accusations were with Eric.
Yeah.
Eric was at the hands of most of the stuff we'll talk about in a minute, but I'm just saying Eric is our I say the
Eric
boy
is
who
the.
cried wolf, but maybe question mark.
We'll talk about it, but I don't know. We'll take a break. We'll be
Yeah,
back and
let's take a
talk
break.
about it in a second.
Yeah.
When you finish this episode, why not head over to yourunpodcast.com and see what else we have available for you. With incredible shows like Movies for Days, hosted by Newman, this is your non-pretentious, easy access movie review show, covering all genres, be it horror, action, romantic comedy. Newman and Movies for Day has everything you could possibly need. And why not check out You Gonna Eat That Crust podcast, hosted by Seamus, Ryan and Greg. This incredible podcast covers everything, from games to movies to what they've done this week. This is three friends who've known each other from high school, just saying it as it is every single episode. Now these and many more incredible shows all available at yourunpodcast.com, so don't miss out. Go and check out our website today. So yeah, head over to yourunpodcast.com, check out all of the other network members. While you're there, check out our merchandise as well. If you buy a piece of merchandise, you put back into the show and you help us get better. You can also get a t-shirt with Heather's face on it.
We got to change that.
You
Yeah,
can
we're
get a
going to change
t-shirt
that
that
one to
says
me.
Colonel Cockring. We've also got our standard list of stuff with Killer Specs and the You Run podcast. And we've got everything. So
Want that hoodie, actually. The blue one.
Christmas is coming.
Girl, it's so fucking hot here. Look, it is September and it'd be like we could just still go swimming. I'm not even joking. It's so
Oh, really?
Scott, it's fucking hot here. Like I mean, I'm wearing sleeveless. I have like this little jumper. I know you guys call jackets jumpers, but this is
Yeah.
actually a jumper. So it's like different, but the same, I guess. Anyways, it's been in the 80s. So technically,
That's
we
hot.
won't get any kind of cold. No, it's warm. It's humid. We won't get any kind of cool weather till never. But I still want the hoodie because I can wear it in the house.
You
Anyway.
can sit under AC in a hoodie. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, it's like 67 in my house. We keep it really cold. Like we keep it very cold in my house. I can't sleep if it's like above 67 or 68. I'm not a fucking lizard. Like I need it to be cold.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have windows open, we have fans going,
Yeah.
we have it like even in the winter we'll have a fan going because I like a breeze. It's
Oh, I
I
can't
don't
have no window open. Oh no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No,
No.
ma'am. Where you live, you must be. Look, this is the thing. You don't live in this U.S. of A. This place is a fucking shit show. And so where you're at, I'm sure you're probably really safe. You fine? Nobody's gonna come kill you. Y'all gonna see me on the next true crime case because I am not keeping no fucking windows open in my house. That shit's is locked. I will sweat my dick off before I open a window. I promise you.
um,
Anyway.
Now, in August 1990, the judge ruled that the therapy session tapes were admissible at trial, that they could
Yeah.
use those. And the brothers' legal team challenged this and they took it all the way to the Supreme Court, which took
Mhm.
2 years. Now, I've said this before, the American justice system is fucking confusing. So in 1992, the Supreme Court
Yeah.
ruled that they were admissible. They could use all of these tapes, that the conversations between the therapist, apart from the ones where Eric specifically spoke about the murders. Like, what? Like, the ones they need, the ones where he said, "Yes, I killed my parents with my brother Lyle." You can use all the other ones, but that one. So you can do the ones where he's going, "Yeah, I've had a really bad day today. Like, I'm a bit stressed. I've had a couple of drinks early in the day, and like, it's
Yeah.
rough, man." But you can't use the one where he's like, "Yeah, I shot my mum in the face with a shotgun." Like, what is wrong with the U.S. justice system? Like,
What you want
what
me to
is wrong? What?
say? What you want me to say?
I
Like, I'm
don't
gonna tell
know.
you one thing. I'm gonna tell you one thing. Stay the fuck over there, okay? Don't come over here ever. I mean, visit if you want to visit. Sure, you can come visit. It's not all that bad, right? Bitch. I don't know because I'm gonna tell you something. I'm just gonna assume that because at that time they had the different confidentiality type where
Yeah,
that couldn't be brought out. And I'm not even sure if HIPAA did not exist at that time. I don't think, the HIPAA laws for like
yeah.
medical and things like that. I know that's not exactly the same, but it is kind of the same because it's giving your privacy, like your business out. I don't think that it was a thing yet. I think that came later in the 90s. So, which is fucking sad. But, I d I mean, look at
Yeah.
our presidential candidates. Like, look at our world. We just had a school shooting. I know this is way off subject. I'm not gonna get into this, but
Yeah,
we
I
literally
heard
just
about this. This
not where
is
I live, but like in Georgia, which is a few states
yeah,
away from me. But
so you know Angel, so Angel we do
yes,
on
I do
YouTube,
know
that
Angel. Uh-huh.
that was, like, less than 10 miles from our home,
I know.
which
I
is
remember that she lived
terrifying.
in, outside it's outside of Atlanta. I think it's like 40 miles outside of, Atlanta. But,
Yeah,
that's the thing about here is, it's sad that us Americans have to be like, we're scared as fucking shit to send our kids to school because school is supposed to be where they'd be safe. And it's just one of those things. We're not gonna get into it because that's not what this is about, but I'm just letting you know, stay the fuck over there in the U and the K. Stay
yeah.
over because if I had a choice, I would not live in this fucking shithole either. And if y'all want to come at me, I don't give a fuck. I ain't voting for nobody because they all crooked as fuck. They look like a fucking question mark.
Well,
Nobody nothing
J
helps. I get so sick of hearing so much shit, Scott, because you don't live here, so it's a little different for you. You'll
well,
hear shit.
Joe Exotic is still a candidate, you can still vote Joe.
I mean, I wasn't voting for nobody. No offense to Joe. No offense. No offense. It's just one of those things where you live here. It's just sad. This is supposed to be the best country and the freedom, and it's like our children are literally getting killed
Yeah,
because
it's
you
not
guys
good.
we like guns here, boy. Apparently. But anyways, I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to start getting hate stuff. It's really not necessarily about the guns. It's a lot of other shit that goes into place. And let's start talking about the Menendez brothers.
Okay, let's move on. So
Thank you. I'll fucking rant.
you have a treat today because we never
Okay.
talk about trials ever.
Yeah, we
Today
don't.
we
We haven't. We haven't.
Yeah, today we're not just going to talk about one trial. We're going to talk about two trials.
Hmm.
We're going to keep it like cliff notes because trials are still dull as fuck. But
It's
these
long
trials,
though. It's too long. We're not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, this is," because it gets interrupted by something spectacular that happened too in the 90s. But it's yeah, go ahead, Scott. It's just like it's too much to talk about.
so the brothers confessed to the murders, which that's an
Hmm.
open and shut case. Like, okay, you
Yeah.
confessed, brilliant, but they done it with a defense claiming years of mental and physical abuse by their father. They also
Hmm.
claimed that their mother was aware and failed to protect them. and this put
Okay.
them in a situation where they were claiming self-defense. So they had several
Okay.
family members testify that they believed this to have happened. Their cousin testified that Eric had confided in him that he had been abused. Now, the prosecution, like this is a real quote from the 90s, don't come at me. The prosecution said that Eric and Lyle lacked the equipment to be raped, which blew my mind that people in 1992 still didn't believe that men could be raped. Like that, I was just like, what? That that's it.
I'm gonna raise
A
my
quote.
hand.
Yeah, you go.
Not only that, you're 100% correct. That was something that was said. And not only that, trauma, PTSD, any kind of emotional abuse, things like that. It's like psychologists, people in general just did not know a lot about that. That was not to defend it, but that was not a subject of like a reasoning why you would do something if you'd been through a traumatic event. Most people
Yeah,
were hush hush about it. It didn't get talked about. It was still being like learned about. And so it would have been very taboo, especially for a man. You would have heard more like, oh, well, it's a man, suck it up. And that's completely wrong. That's
yeah,
not okay. It doesn't matter, man or woman, being sexually assaulted, and any kind of claims like that should be taken seriously.
I
But
agree.
it just it was the bitch of the time.
Yeah, the thing is, so the story was that the brothers, it was Eric who'd been abused, and he told his brother Lyle, and
Yes.
this led to them
Uh-huh.
confronting the parents, and this led
Yeah.
to lots of arguments in the home around this time. And they claimed that they went and bought the shotguns a couple of weeks earlier because these arguments had got more and more heated.
Yeah.
And that night they'd had a big argument, and they'd gone outside, loaded their shotguns, and gone back in because they thought their parents were in the den with the doors shut because he thought they were plotting to kill them. Now, I get it. I
Mm,
can understand that. But when you open the door and they're sat there eating strawberries and ice cream and watching, I don't know, whatever the
TV,
game
the
show was
show
at
or
the time.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like instantly when you open the door, you go, do you know what? Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just watching The Price is Right. Maybe we were wrong.
Well, it wasn't press your luck because that would have been that. Yeah, that was a really bad joke, you guys. But like honestly, I'm just saying, like, shut up, Scott. The baby makes me have dark humor. No, but like it's really it's fucked up because this whole shit that it's like these people are literally doing nothing, right?
Yeah,
And you guys
they
have to
just
think about this. In the time frame that these boys were born, which was 68 and 70, I think is the years they were born. No, or 67 and 70 because they're like 3 years
70.
apart.
Yeah,
Yes. So this is the thing. Us people that were not born in that time era, uh, fathers being abusive. I'm not talking about being molestation. That's not. I'm not talking about that. I'm literally talking about the expectations that one would have in that class of people. His upbringing, his culture, his ethnicity, the way he was brought up. Jose, the father.
yeah,
It to me makes perfect sense that he would be emotionally and verbally abusive to those boys.
yeah.
Now, that is not a reason in itself to annihilate both your mother and your father. I'm not gonna have any kind of being like, oh well, that's fine. You know what? They should have been shot. And even if the molestation things happened, I still don't think it justifies that to that extent. I know people might come at me about that because that sounds a little controversial, but
No,
I just
I kind of
it's
agree with
not.
you. Like, there's ways to do it, and I don't think a shotgun to the face and then trying to hide it is the way to do it. And the problem is,
No.
like, this trial was deadlocked, so they had two juries in
Yeah.
this trial, and both of them they come back with like matching votes. It was like 6 apiece for guilty and not guilty, and they had a mistrial. Now, the
Yeah.
first trial was done with TV cameras, and it was a big media circus, a little bit like the O.J. Simpson trial. It was that sort of trial, and everyone was
Mhm.
watching. When it went for the second trial, the
It's not
judge was
televised.
having none of that bullshit. He's like, "There ain't no cameras coming in here." He's like, "Also,
Mhm.
there will not be the option for manslaughter. That shit's off the table. Like, these guys are either going down for
No.
murder, they're either guilty
Yeah,
or
it's
not guilty." Like, the judge they had, I don't know where he was from, and I'm really generalizing, but
yeah.
he epitomizes what I imagine a Texan judge to be. Ain't gonna be none of that shit in my courtroom. You're gonna do this and that is it. Is
I
guilty or
mean
not guilty for murder. That's how I get this judge.
I
This
mean, it's
judge was like,
very like you're saying it's very black and white in that sense,
yeah,
in the whole gray area, because with the first trial, it was just a hot mess of just all this stuff, and you have all these stories, and you have Eric on the stand, he's crying, and there were some moments where it's like, do you think that they felt even the slightest bit of remorse, or do you think that they were upset because they got caught? It is, you know what? People can kill people, and I've seen it before where they have killed someone, and there is some, I would say, remorse. There is some type of sadness there. But part of
yeah,
me feels like, do you think that maybe they got, because they were legitimately crying on the stand.
yeah.
Lyle was. There were tears coming out of his face that I feel like it was a little harder to fake that than just acting like that. So, my question is more like, do you think it's because he felt any remorse for killing his parents, or was it more of a we got caught, now our lives are over, or we went too far? Like, we went too far. Like, this is like, maybe we shouldn't have done
Yeah,
that.
I we've now added a little roundup section to the show, a little bit like Jerry Springer's
Okay.
final
Yeah.
thoughts. I'm gonna save it till there, but
Okay.
I
Perfect.
have
Perfect.
I have an opinion that
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's popular opinion, but I've made my own mind up of where I think we are with
It's your
this.
opinion, and you can say whatever you feel like saying. It's whatever
Um,
you feel.
in this very controlled courtroom where it was either they're guilty of murder or they're not, this was a very clear cut case because they are guilty of murder. They confessed to it. So they were both
Yes.
found guilty. Like,
Yes,
there's no,
100%. Yeah.
like, all of the mitigating circumstances that may have got them off, the judge just took them off the table. Like, did they kill them? Yes or no? And the jury went, well, yeah, they told us they did. Yeah, they did. They're guilty. The judge is like, great. So then he sentenced them both to life in prison. Um,
No death penalty was in this
no,
case.
no death penalty, and the judges refused to confirm whether he'd done that because of the allegations of abuse. He's not ever confirmed why he'd done it, but he said life in
Mm-mm.
prison was a more fitting punishment than death. Now, the brothers were
Yeah.
held separately. They were put in separate prisons until February of 2018 when Lyle was
Mhm.
moved to the same prison as his brother.
Yeah.
Now, everything went quiet there. There wasn't a lot going on. That they had a couple of
Mm-mm.
little appeals around the initial trial and nothing went anywhere. In May 2023, the brothers filed an appeal seeking a new hearing on the discovery of new evidence, a letter
Okay.
written by Eric to his cousin, which highlights that there was abuse. Now, we've got the letter, and I'm going to pop it up on screen so
Mhm.
you can have a look. So the letter itself, there's a lot in there. I've
Yeah.
highlighted the bit that highlights. So, oh no, go back to the stage. That's there. There we go. Why is it not coming up? I'll get back to it. If people are watching, there we
I
go.
got you.
So the bit in the letter says, "Every night I stay up thinking he might come in."
Mhm.
Now, I get it. Like, that's some sort of insinuation that
That he
something's
had
happened.
been sexually assaulted by his father at some point, and we don't have an inkling necessarily of, it was said that it started when Eric was a child, not an adult,
Yeah,
but like a little boy. So let's say
yeah,
about 6 or 8 years old. And a lot of people, and this may be an unpopular opinion too, but I don't care what anyone thinks about how I think. Um, you can't just say, and in the documentary, one of the people was just like, well, I mean, if they were getting molested, they should have just left. And you do not say that to someone that potentially is an abuse victim because
No.
um, you don't know what it feels like to live in that cycle of abuse, whether it be sexually abused, verbally, mentally, physically abused. It's almost like having Stockholm syndrome in the sense of
Yeah.
like you stay because you're scared. And so
Yeah.
also like what is a 6-year-old little boy going to do if that were happening?
And not only that, there's two sides to abuse. So there is the abuse, be it
100%.
physical or mental or whatever. But every abuser and every abuser case, there is the other side. So they will do
Mhm.
horrific acts of abuse. For the example, this case, they may have done this horrific sexual abuse, and then the next day taken them to Disneyland.
Well,
And it's
it's gr-
this,
it's partly grooming. It's partly like
yeah,
that's what they do. They're love bomb and stuff. So it's
yeah,
like I was in a very abusive relationship, not sexually abusive, but it was very emotionally and physically abusive when I was young, when I was my, you know,
yeah,
my daughter's dad. Anyhow, you feel trapped. You feel like, how are they so horrible one day, but the next day they're like, I'm so sorry and I'll never do it again. And you might have a good couple weeks and you get it's just like it's gaslighting. It's gaslighting to the extreme, dear. Put your foot on that pedal. It is going. And that's the thing. I don't have a 100% opinion about whether or not he was sexually assaulted because or molested. And it's not because I don't think it could have happened. It could have happened. The thing is with a lot of these cases is that people say that. And to
yeah,
me, what do you do as a little child that I can understand that would fuck you up emotionally? Well, actually, I can't imagine that because that's never happened to
yeah,
me, and I would not want that to ever happen to anyone I know, myself or anyone. But you're in a different mind frame, but it still makes you think like once you got older, could he have had better options? I Was
yeah.
he so mentally distraught that he didn't? It was more of a like. It's so much, Scott, that we don't have time. Like, we would literally have to do, like, a whole nother episode on just this part because it's way too complex when you start getting into the victim side of it.
Yeah, it is, and like the other thing that's come with this letter that's surfaced is
Mhm,
another person has come forward and accused Jose of molesting them. So this is a man called Roy Rossello who claimed that Jose drugged and raped him when he was 14, and he visited the
mhm,
family home.
hmm,
And like this is the new evidence that is going to appeal. And
yeah,
this is what's got the attention of Netflix. So Netflix are
mhm,
going to time their
yeah.
airing of their series around effectively around the appeal hearing of this case.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think 100% the abuse could have happened in this case. Like it
I
definitely could
think
have,
too. Mhm.
but I don't think that's what happened. Now, I get it. Victims not coming forward. I understand the element of PTSD and how that would build up over time, and it would get more and more and more, and you'd have this outburst of
Mhm.
rage. And I get that. What throws it off for me is the fact they bought guns weeks prior. And like maybe that was just them being prepared. But then they tried to
Mhm.
cover it up, which again, "Oh, shit, we've killed our parents, we need to make this go
Mhm.
away." Like, I'm still on board, like, it could have happened, but the second they went on a spending spree, for me, this all become about the money.
Because then
Like
it doesn't feel like they were victims of any sort. Is that what you're
no.
getting at? Because up
Yeah,
until then, it makes sense that even though they could have bought the gun weeks before, I mean, most people that are like, I'm gonna kill my perpetrator, my the person that's attacking me, the person that's causing me this pain. A lot of that probably it can be premeditated, but
yeah,
you're saying what really cuts it off for you is that where it becomes I don't know if I believe any of the abuse necessarily is because they went on a shopping spree. They were smiling when they were videotaped, recorded into the courtroom. They were super handsome, dressed up. They were smiling, and I think for a lot of us, that's our first go to. Oh, they don't give a fuck. Look at them. They're happy and smiling. And I do agree with you partially on that because I can totally see that. Um,
Yeah, and I
but part
think
of
for
me
me,
is
like
like the mental
yeah,
stability of them.
yeah, and this is the other thing, like the new evidence, like for me, I, I don't find it that compelling. They found this letter that happened
Uh-huh.
that this cousin had, but he went to trial. He testified in 2 trials
Yeah.
about the abuse.
Hmm.
Do you not think he would have gone, "Oh, actually, I remember there's a letter he wrote me when he was 8 that told me
I
about this." Like,
mean,
why didn't it come up 20 years earlier? I
yeah.
don't un I don't understand why it didn't come up, and I think a decent prosecution lawyer will rip that letter to pieces. Like the other victim coming forward, that's a little bit different. Because if there's some legitimacy to that and there's any proof to that, that then spins this whole case in a different light for me.
Well, it does, and it does not. It still does not justify what the Menendez brothers did.
No.
100. But I think what it is it makes more sense. And we
Yeah.
always just want to figure out, we always try to want to make sense out of why someone does something, not necessarily the motive, but let's make sense out of it. If you were terribly sexually assaulted and abused for most of your life, would you not snap? People
Oh,
will and do.
yeah.
Not
Yeah, but from what
everyone
I
does though, but you very much can snap.
yeah, and from what I can gather, like the abuse stopped as they got older. Like the abuse as they got into their middle teens, the
Teens,
abuse.
they're late teens.
Yeah, from what I can understand, that's when it all come to an end. And I don't know, like I've done a lot of digging into Jose. Jose was not the best dude in the world. He had
Oh, no. He was not a
countless
good
affairs and
guy.
mistresses, and this is where again I'm struggling with it a bit. Like he's got his wife, who he's obviously having regular sex with. He's got multiple mistresses. I think at one point he allegedly had 7 mistresses on the go. Like is he not getting enough? Like I don't know. I don't know enough to think maybe is he going to
Well, I
go and
think it's a
sleep with his
different
mistress?
realm.
Yeah, it's
You
so
know what I'm
I don't,
saying? Like, it's just not the same. This, oh gosh, literally, Scott, this is just so, it's so opinionated that it's so hard. You could literally have multiple opinions about the case and about, do you think that Eric was assaulted? It didn't happen to Lyle. And now there are situations, of course, where there are multiple children and only one of the children is hurt, attacked, or,
yeah.
molested. I hate saying that word, but it does happen like that. Sometimes the other children are not touched at all, and it makes no logical. You're like, what? And also
Yeah,
him being mistresses, but also this is, I think, what blows my balls off the most. Really, is like, was the mom afraid of Jose? Was Kitty afraid of Jose to where did she not suspect?
yeah,
Maybe she may have
like
not, but like, where
like the
you don't hear
protection.
anything about her in this case. There's
No, like the mum
nothing.
protecting the child. Like if you had an inkling that was going on, like I'd like to think any mum would put themselves in the firing line, even if
Oh
Jose
yeah,
was violent,
I
to
don't give a
stop
shit.
that. And like
Yeah.
I'm going to say now, like the abuse of children is unforgivable. Like that is
Oh
something
yeah.
that it just cannot I cannot tolerate. And if I'm honest, if he did abuse them like that, as much as what they done is not justified, I don't begrudge them doing it. I get it.
Well,
I
that's what I'm saying. It
understand.
makes sense
Yeah.
to you. Yes,
Oh,
you get
100%.
it. It's just that the actions that they did, it's the repercussion of what they did, and it
And I'm
was overkill for shoot
and
it.
one.
Like,
Yeah,
it was a lot.
massive. Oh, and one thing I am going to say that this is going to be a hot as fuck take, and I'm sorry.
Okay.
Their appeal started shortly after Gypsy Rose Blanchard was released from prison. Are they
Really?
trying to
Also,
ride the
the
wave?
OJ trial was going on too. Did you know that during their second
Yeah,
trial? And
yeah,
people, that's why they kind of stemmed off of Menendez Brothers and they weren't as popular because everybody was like, bitch, did the glove fit? You must have quit. Like, he got off.
yeah, yeah. He got off,
It's
and he is
so
the most
much.
guilty person ever, ever.
Oh, I think
I
that's one of those things where, like, if he did not physically kill Nicole, if he didn't physically do it himself, right? He was involved, right? Like,
uh,
it does
d-
just
d-
is
uh,
too.
we're going to get that case in a poll
We're
just so
gonna
we
get it
could talk about
eventually.
just so we
Jeez.
could talk about the car chase. The car chase
So
is amazing.
oh, the fucking
Um,
white Bronco. Ooh.
do you have anything else? Any final thoughts you'd like to throw into this case before I kind of come at you a little
Um,
bit?
well, you come at me. I mean, that's fine. I guess my whole totality final thoughts on this is that I have watched so many documentaries on this throughout many years of just watching true crime and things like that. And when you hear about a person that being their motive and saying self-defense, I don't consider what they did as self-defense because typically self-defense is when you are also being attacked at that moment.
Yeah,
So that self-defense claim is kind of dog shit to me. The mom being shot more than the dad, she was shot 10 times. Jose was shot 6.
yeah,
It makes no goddamn sense, and you cannot scrabble it up all you want to. It makes no sense as to why they even would have killed her. There was no claims that she did anything other than maybe she did not protect them, and maybe she was scared. Who's to say that she wasn't going through her own trauma and Jose was beating her? We don't know.
no,
How do we know? And
and she
so
doesn't deserve 10 bullets for that.
they,
Like she just doesn't.
she shouldn't have been killed. And honestly, I mean, this will be super hot controversial. I'm not really quite sure. I mean, like, Jose shouldn't have maybe been murdered like that because even if he was a shit piece of man, and even if he did, because I'm saying even if he did, we don't have any visible, viable proof that he actually molested his children. If
Right.
some, oh my God, verbally assaulting, emotionally assaulting, those things are fucking horrid. I've been through it, but I have never thought it justified to let me murder someone. Let me murder that person that did that to me.
Yeah, unless you're in the school run.
Okay. I'm gonna shut up because those fucking moms get on my nerves. But anyways, I guess that's sort of my thing is that I'm not 100% convinced that he was indeed abused at that level.
No,
I'm not
no, I'm not.
100% convinced, but I'm also just not saying that he wasn't. So I'm so on the fence, Scott, that it makes it extremely hard. It's just
You're getting splinters in your ass. You're so on the fence.
yes. I mean, I
Um,
really am. But anyways, that's kind of my hot take. There you go.
well, that's going to be it for this case. We're going to be back in December with a brand new case for you all to enjoy. But
Mhm.
before we go, there is something that's happened while everything was
Mhm.
off the air. So on
Okay.
our recap episode, one of the things we talked about was Jack the Ripper. And whether we should
Boring.
have, yeah, whether we should go back now the case files have been made available. We
Mhm.
put a poll out on Spotify, and Spotify said 100% yes. Now I kind of went, nah, well, we'll see. I then received a message from one of our listeners, Sarah, and she put,
Uh-huh.
"Hi, I've just been listening to the catch-up cases, and I thought it was brilliant. I've also gone back and listened to Jack the Ripper as I wanted to refresh myself on it, and I think you should definitely request the case files to see what's in them. That's so fascinating to hear." Also, at the end of the Jack the Ripper episode, Heather does say she wants to know what's in the case files. Smiley
I don't
face.
care.
Just
That wasn't
saying,
me.
lots of laughing. So I think you should definitely ask. So I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember if you said that or not. So I went back and I listened to the
I don't
episode.
remember either. That wasn't me.
Well,
That was Patricia.
do you know it's really good though? The powers of technology. So this is what Heather said at the end of the Jack the Ripper
If all of
episode.
a sudden there is
Ugh.
new evidence and there is a clear-cut suspect, or they release all of the files, if the files become public knowledge, I will return to Jack the Ripper and I will go through them again.
Yeah. Yeah, I will definitely have to be all about that because I need to know. I'm going to be like, oh my God, what's in the paperwork? Open it. I need to read it.
Yeah.
I don't like secrets. I still don't like secrets. That makes sense that I would say that. I don't remember saying that, but honestly, it sounds more like I just need it to be like, give me some fucking juiciness to this boring ass case. So I don't feel, I'm not apologizing.
I'm going to give you an option, Heather. So for our December episode, for our Christmas episode, do we return back to Jack the Ripper, or do we cover the NVXIM sex cult? What is the Christmas
Why
episode?
are you doing this to me? I'm having a baby.
I know.
God. Okay, so the XYZ ABC sex cult, that shit, Scott, is really just, I'm gonna be honest with you, other than the what is it, the Smallville girl that is in, she was part of it. That's like the funnest part of it because basically it's just like a lot of fucking and it's gross and it's just, I don't know. We'll just, oh my God.
We could talk about all their sexual rituals like that'll be an entertaining.
Yeah, but it's not that
conversation.
juicy to me. It's just not as captivating to me because it's really just sex talk. Like that's, I mean, there is abuse. Obviously, there was stuff like that because it's a cult. But
or do we go back and we go and visit old Spring Hill Jack back in London in the?
What are we going to talk about him? He's fucking. What did he come back as a ghost? Like I don't understand.
No, but we've got the Scotland Yard have released the case files now, so we have access to.
We'll
all
go
of their
back to
case
Jack
files.
the Ripper. I said what I said. So if anybody tries to be like whatever, I did say I just don't really. I don't have any interest in either case, to be honest. But I am still kind of curious. I'm just curious as to what the files might say. Are we going to find some kind of our asses are going to be blown off because we just found a new piece of evidence that we didn't know about or something, right? Because the case is fucking boring. So maybe.
See, I don't know, but I did kind of know which way you're going to go. So I'm already going through the case files, which I received from Scotland Yard yesterday.
Okay, and so far, are we sipping our tea? Is it juicy? Is it hot? Or are we?
So far, I'm trying to understand the old English that the police used in their reports.
Do you watch Bridgerton?
Yeah. Imagine if like I don't know. It's like Romeo and Juliet wrote the case.
No, I
notes.
get it.
That's what it's like. It's like ye old tavern, visited ye old tavern. I'm like, oh man, did you like?
Okay,
Who was in ye old tavern?
This is going to be a fucking shit show of fun because if it were like Bridgerton, I'd be 100% on it. I'm watching that show now and I'm fucking obsessed. Like I fucking love it.
There's also a spin-off, Queen someone.
The Queen everybody's already told me I'm only on season 2 of Bridgerton, so I'm not done with it yet, but I will follow up. But I just fucking like, let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. I said I was never going to get pregnant again. I'm not. But if the Duke of Hastings was like, Heather, I'd be like, oh Lord, and them legs would be up to Jesus. That's all I'm gonna tell y'all. I watched that first season, and when I saw him, I was like, Daphne, bitch, you better get that dick. You better get that. Oh, he said.
Well, on that wonderful note, we're going to be back in December. We're going to have our Christmas episode. We're going to talk about Jack the Ripper, but fuck, it's a Christmas episode. We'll have loads of fun. And other stuff.
We'll throw something else in there. Come on, but between here and there, we'll have to throw a fun little side something. I don't know. We'll do something fun.
Thank you for everyone who reached out when we took a break. Thank you for everyone who I know is listening now, who's waited patiently for us to come back. It honestly, it made me feel so amazing when everyone reached out and look, you
Yeah.
and Heather need a break. You take a break. Like, we'll be here when you get back. Like, that to me was like, oh wow, like it meant so
Because
much.
yeah, it
Yeah.
makes you feel like you're doing something worthwhile, and this isn't just we're just catching up and talking true crime. Like it's fun, but like nobody listens to it. But I feel like people listen to us. I know we're not like top of the world, but like people,
Yeah, we are.
we
We're the best.
we do good.
We're the best.
We do good, and I do. I my sentiments are the same as Scott's. It's very sweet that people care enough to even send a message to say those things, because this is, I would say, it's a lot of work. It's fun, but there is work put into this, and time, and away from our kids and our family, and we come into our rooms and chit chat and everything else. So yeah, especially Scott, like he has like 67 fucking podcasts. So I don't even know. I'm like, help me, I'm on one.
Yeah, you run podcast.com. You can find all of the other stuff that we do.
Do so much.
I've waited to say this for ages. Heather, take us away. Sign us off again.
Like Calgon, I'll take you away. Okay, guys. So again, I'm happy to be back. This is awesome. I feel like, I think about it before we start our episodes, where I'm like, I don't know if I'm prepared. I haven't done this in like 3 months, and it always feels like I'm not going to do a good job. And then I get behind the mic and I'm just like, this bitch is back. Here I am. But in all seriousness, I appreciate everyone that listens to us. I appreciate the kind words and the patience and everything that you guys give us. And we cannot wait to talk about our next cases with you guys. So stick around. It's going to be a lot of fun. But until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay spooky, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Heather's raging, old news she screams. The newer cases are all that she dreams. We dive into cases both weird and grim, from Zodiac ciphers to Tiger King's whim. Where you run podcasts, the oddball pair. We're pretty damn good, to be fair. You run podcasts, do true crime. Heather's ranting, Scott's in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a wink and a nod. You run podcasts approved by God. Probably not. Scott's like, can we talk about movies? Heather's yelling, no, it's time to do this. We're trapped in a world of murder and gore, but hey, at least we've got podcast galore. Toolbox killers are chilling affair, but we're adding our humor to ease up. You run podcasts, do true crime. Heather's ranting, Scott's in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a wink and a nod. You run podcast approved by God. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Scott's like, can we talk about movies? Heather's yelling, no, it's time to do this. We're trapped in a world of murder and gore, but hey, at least we've got podcast galore. Toolbox killers are chilling affair, but we're adding our humor to ease up. You read podcasts, do true crime. Heather's ranting, Scott's in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a wink and a nod. You run podcasts approved by God. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not.